My name is Jay Lyman, Principal Analyst with 451 Research. My primary areas of coverage are DevOps, cloud-native software such as containers and Kubernetes, and also open source software. DevOps and digital transformation are sort of interlinked. We see organizations viewing DevOps as a starting point or a building block for digital transformation. The ability to release software faster, the ability to manage larger infrastructures with smaller teams more efficiently. These are all key factors that will enable an organization to digitally transform. Organizations, I think, realize the need for a DevOps approach in order to effectively take advantage of cloud computing infrastructures, cloud-native software such as containers and Kubernetes. And by implementing a DevOps strategy, organizations can release software faster, meet compliance requirements, and reduce their risk, which are among the key challenges of both DevOps and digital transformation. DevOps has never really been about a standard tool chain in the enterprise. Instead, with all of the different tools and frameworks and infrastructures, we see it more as a DevOps toolbox, where like a carpenter or a plumber, there are many different tools for many different jobs. Software Delivery Management, or SDM, can help organizations get a better handle on this myriad of different tools and frameworks and components that are in use by providing a unified process and a common data layer. SDM can then help organizations achieve faster software releases, more efficient IT operations and management, and a better responsiveness for the organization to be able to move on new data or changes in the market that require that fast response. The technical challenges for DevOps are real, but so are the cultural challenges. Organizations not only have to deal with enterprise IT inertia issues such as general resistance to change and the sentiment that the existing process is sufficient, but there are additional cultural issues that can impact how successful their DevOps deployment is. Our Voice of the Enterprise DevOps survey indicates that promoting communication between teams that are not used to collaborating, sharing best practices across these teams that may have been siloed previously, and sharing responsibility for problems are some of the top cultural challenges that organizations face. An SDM approach and strategy can help address some of these cultural problems as well by providing that unified process and common data layer so organizations can break out of their old silos and habits and do a better job getting on the same page together. Our Voice of the Enterprise DevOps research indicates that weekly, daily, and hourly software releases now outnumber monthly, quarterly, and semi-annual releases. This highlights how the pace of software releases is quickening over time. And we've achieved a far cry from where we were a few years ago when DevOps was not implemented as broadly through the industry, and those quarterly and semi-annual releases were more the norm. We also saw in our research that larger organizations with 1,000 or more employees were less likely to have those weekly, daily, and hourly releases. And this is indicative of these larger organizations having a higher number of teams and larger application portfolios, and also the burden of legacy applications and infrastructure. So it can be harder for these larger organizations to go as fast as their smaller counterparts. In terms of measuring DevOps success, we see enterprises looking to both technical and quality metrics, such as defect rates and performance rates and how they affect availability. And we also see business metrics, such as customer satisfaction, being used to sort of prove DevOps success. This is indicative of today's consumers who want new products and features and updates, but they do not have much tolerance of latency or downtime. We see these metrics also being used by organizations to spread their DevOps efforts to more of their organization by showing that they're able to move faster, that they're able to improve customer satisfaction. That sort of serves as the basis to spread DevOps to more teams and applications. As DevOps spreads across enterprise organization, it tends to pull in additional stakeholders beyond the developers and the IT operations team. Our Voice of the Enterprise DevOps survey indicates that security, central IT admins, and data analytics and data science teams are among the top additional DevOps stakeholders. We also see database administrators among the top additional stakeholders beyond developers and IT operations, which is interesting because DBAs were notoriously left out of DevOps processes up until a few years ago. Other categories of additional stakeholders include management and leadership, which is in line with more top-down adoption of DevOps that we see, and also line of business managers who are increasingly being involved with DevOps teams and DevOps releases in the enterprise. Going forward, we expect we'll see additional stakeholders become important or critical to enterprise DevOps releases, and this would include compliance officers and human relations people. But we expect, as DevOps spreads across the enterprise, it is going to pull in additional stakeholders, and it's also a sign that DevOps is working because you're pulling in these additional stakeholders who, as you go get more applications and more teams involved, you're going to have more stakeholders. But this is actually a good thing, and organizations need to be able to address this and be aware of it and include these additional stakeholders on their DevOps teams.